G'day, folks. Welcome back to another Beating 42 episode. We're going to talk about round 22. How are you, Beav?
Round 23, my friend. The year is getting away from you.
No way. Yep, round 23. I've got all my notes labeled wrong. So, yeah, it is getting away from me. And look, we'll start off the session today with a bit of sad news for Fifita being put in an induced coma from a hit to his larynx on the weekend.
Yeah, so they've tried to find the vision. It didn't look like there was that much in it, right? But obviously copped it in the wrong spot. Issues breathing, and the induced coma is probably just get the tube down before the larynx swells. There was a kid earlier in the year from Cronulla who had the same issue. Bit of shock, but good luck to Fifita. He's been a good player over the years. He's probably beyond his best. I don't think Sharks win 2016 without him. 2016, I got the year right. Yeah.
2016 goes as the peptide year, and
of course,
Jack Williams was the guy you're talking about, and he got that in pre-season, and he has not played against.
Yes.
So that's a little bit scary. And we talked off air before, and I mentioned the fact that is there an issue with player safety because it's all about contact to the head's a responsibility of the player, and these ball runners seem to be exempt from where their arms are.
Yeah, there's a few bumper bars getting up, isn't there, right? I'm protecting myself, right? But I mean, what do you do? You then say, well, you can't, put it up to try to, sometimes it's just trying to get the palm out, right? And, you get too close or whatever it is, right? So then in the future, does it mean you can't palm someone if you're going to take that away? So I don't know. I mean, look, you know what? Sometimes you just got to say freak things happen, right? So
agreed. Yeah. I do totally agree with that. Just interesting how if you're a tackler, though, there's just no room for error. So maybe they'll have a look at that. Tommy T has got a bit of a jaw injury, named this week, but that was a nasty head clash from his own player.
Yeah, well, if he's named, he's going to play, right? So you look through the squad, the Manly squad, I didn't think that they had a lot more coverage, right? Of course, Garrick would go to fullback, but I would have thought they'd have another outside back ready in there, 18 to 21 if he was in doubt. So, and you know what I mean? They just keep on winning by big margins, right? So it could be a sort of situation, set up the game in the first half and then, let him sit on the sideline with a cigar in the second half, right? So.
Yeah, potentially that might be what they do too. Interesting that he's got a plate in that jaw, which possibly saved him. So, look, we'll see what happens, and they play on the early game Friday. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah. So not a lot of turnaround time for him to recover, but we'll see. Some good news or bad news, depends on how you look at it. Moses Mbai leaving the Tiger Town to go to the Dragons, mate.
Yeah, well, I'd say if you're from Tiger Town, you'd say it's good news. And if you're a Dragon, then I say, well, the devil's in the detail. How much are we actually paying? If we're paying Moses Mbai 800,000, then that's a horrible deal, right? He's got one more year, I think, with the Tigers, but he signed on for 2, right? So I think that's how it's worked. So Tigers must be paying some of his freight for next year, and then Dragons are on the hook for the following year, right? But I think if you pick him up for 400, then that's probably okay because Dragons got a lot of question marks in their team, right? We've got a lot of kids who are supposed to be playing next year, whether it's Sullivan or Amone in 5'8" and Sloan at fullback. We've got no backup hooker this week. Josh Maguire is the great hooker because McCulloch's out injured. Yep. So you know what I mean? His versatility is worth money, right? And he is still a decent player. He's, his best is beyond him. He's not going to win any premierships, I don't think. Certainly not with us at the moment. But, decent depends on the price.
Yeah, I agree. And
Story.
my number's 450. If you paid 450, you're probably okay. Overs, starting to think twice about the value in that. So, and then the Commonwealth story, the Eels are just falling off a cliff, and their late season fade is happening again.
I mean, you know, I think Brad Arthur, he seems to know his shit, right? You know, but it's happened again, right? So you got to look. There's something there, right? So and it's all in here, I think, right? You know, it could be a bit of injury, right? But you know, like Moses just hasn't looked any good since he's come back. Gutherson's done very little, I think, right? You know, they're not playing with any belief. Their forwards are not dominating games like you would expect. Nathan Brown is a pussy compared to how he was, you know, when he played State of Origin, I think, last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, look, they got a lot of issues at the moment, right? So, and I don't think it's going to be resolved this year. Yeah. Red pen.
Yeah, no doubt. They'll go out in the first round. Well, unless the Titans sneak into 8th and they have to play the Eels, then they might get through. But yeah, look, my concern is around Gutherson, and I don't know, he's a bit of an itchy man, and I think he's demanding far too much for his next contract, and I wonder if that's playing into it a bit as well.
Who would be prepared to pay him that much money, right? You know, he's earning, they say 750 or 800 at Parramatta, which I think is pretty good coin for a fullback who's, I don't know, probably around that 5th, top 5, maybe sneaking into the top 5, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I also look across the league, and I don't see too many teams who would be really chasing a guy like him to be fullback. So I just don't see the demand is really there, right? Yeah. So Dragons don't get any stupid ideas, right? So, right. But yeah, other than that, I think, yeah, again, you know, why let this impact the way the team's playing coming into the finals?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and a whole
maybe they haven't adjusted well to the bubble, right? Maybe it's the living in each other's, you know, back pockets that got to them as well.
And every other team has to do the same thing, so that just can't be an excuse. I think a topic for another cast, mate, would be talking about how flat track bullies only play well when things are going well, and when times are tough, there's no one there that stands up. So, and I think the Eels are full of those sort of players.
No, you're right.
So, all right, mate, we'll jump straight into round 23, and another scary one for the Titans. They're now playing the ladder leaders, the Storm. We really need to at least put in a competitive performance.
Yeah, well, you know, good luck, because you know Storm are. You know, they're way above the second and third place teams at the moment, right? So you get a bit lucky this week. No Jerome Hughes, Nico Hines named in 7, which I find interesting. I don't see him as a 7. I don't see him and Munster really clicking all that well. But you know, he's probably a better option than Cooper Johns, right? So, look, they're still going to have enough. They're a team that they are together. They just want to win and play with each other, I think, right? You know, so I think the Storm will win this one pretty comfortably in the end, mate. Right? So I got the Storm winning this one by about 20.
Yeah. I got the Storm by 18 as well, but look, obviously, Bellamy believes that they're going to win it pretty comfortably too, because he's rested Brandon Smith, Justin Olam, Hughes with the head injury, and Finucane with the head injury as well. So they're resting a bunch, and sadly, we got no AJ Brimson and no Mo Fotuaika, so a couple of our better players. But if we can hang in there and keep it around 18 or 20, I think that'll be a good result.
Yeah, that's the thing. For and against becomes very important when you're in that tight lock, right, for the top 8.
Yeah. It's all about the last 2 weeks for us.
And interestingly, you know, just with you saying them resting those players, it's like there was a lot of speculation that, you know, the Sharkies might benefit from from the Storm resting everyone in the last week for the finals, right? So maybe he's going to take a staged approach to it, right? So, and you know what I mean? If the Storm are missing 4 players, they're still good enough to beat everyone outside the top 4, right? So.
Yeah, no, I don't kid myself there. I do hope Munster and Hines just fight it out because they're both 6s. I don't think either of them are a 7. So anyway, probably the second best game, I think, is the Raiders and Manly. Huge game for the Raiders.
Yeah, I saw the odds. Sea Eagles $1.18 and Raiders $5. I didn't think Tommy was going to play, and I would have been on the Raiders. But with Tommy in the team, you got to go for Manly. But I just don't see the gap being that big. I don't see it as $1.20 and $5, right? So if that was the case, I'd be taking the Raiders with the start. But, look, they've got a bit to play for. Chance, Nickel Clockstead is on the bench for them. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come back into the starting lineup, push Rapana to the wing. But look, this is a big game for the Raiders. I think if the Raiders win this, they're in the 8, right? But I think the Sea Eagles will have a bit too much for them. Sea Eagles to win this one by 10.
I got Manly by 14. It's only a small thing, but with Tom Starling being out for the Raiders, I think that makes a huge difference to that team. So Hodgson's going to have to play the whole game. He hasn't done that all year, I don't believe. And when Starling comes on, he makes a real difference to that team, but they'll go without this week. And I'm with you. I just think Manly are going to be way too strong. They're just doing a rich...
It's interesting. I actually think that's a good thing for Hodgson because, he needs to get more ball. He needs to be owning the attack. And I just wonder sometimes whether when Starling comes on, he feels like he loses his Cameron Smith type running the team from number 9, right? So anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, we will indeed. And then the late game Friday, match of the round, Panthers and Bunnies.
Yeah, so I can't believe the Panthers are favourites for this. $1.71, Rabbits $2.15.
That's ridiculous.
I'm on the Rabbits all day here.
So
I'm on the Rabbits. So, Panthers still missing a couple, I think. To'o's out. I'm not sure who else, but Tavita Pangai and Fisher Harris are both named in the extended bench. You got to think that they're going to come back at some point, right? I'm not sure why Fisher Harris would only be named on the extended bench unless he's still got a quarantine issue. Rabbits are on the roll. So I got the Rabbits to win this one in a tight one, right? We were talking before, big score, low score. I'm going to back a low score because I think both coaches will be focusing on defense. And, I'm going to back, the Rabbits to win this one 18-14.
Okay. I'm going a little bit more score. I'm going something around the lines of 31-22 with the Bunnies. And that they are just too good at the moment, the Bunnies. You made a comment there before where it's probably a Storm Bunnies grand final. I agree with you at this point in time. Yep. Panthers now have to prove that they're the number 2 side. Yep. So see if they can bounce back from that. But I'm looking forward to Friday. What a cracking couple of games. Have to start in the cans early there.
Stock up the fridge, my friend.
That's it. So Saturday, we move into, what is an 8-spot battle? Tigers and Sharks.
Yeah, look, it's a game that means something, right? For both of these. Neither of them uber talented. The Tigers, so inconsistent. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? But I just don't see that the Sharks have got that much, right? So I'm going to back the Tigers here, right? Again, they're the underdogs, 250, right? So I'm going to back the Tigers to win this one, but in a close one by 4 points.
Yeah, gee, we're thinking very similarly. I've got Tigers by 2. It's exactly what you said. You just don't know who's going to turn up for the Tigers, and the Sharks just aren't that good. So, they're missing Tolman and Fafita this week. Probably not a big loss, sadly, that Fafita's not playing because he's only ever come off the bench. But Tolman, I think, is a big out for him. And the Tigers, well, surely they're due. So, it's all I can say. Dogs and Knights.
Yeah. Well, Knights down a couple this week. Frizzell's out. Safiti's out. Right. So I had a look at the Dogs team, and Kyle Flanagan gets a start, which I really like. I think he's a kid who's unfortunately, probably not benefited from that halves merry-go-round so much, right? I think he needs a patch of games in a row to show what he can do. But I'm going to take the Dogs in an upset here, right? And you'll like this one because it will help keep the Knights at the low end of the 8. So, but yeah, I'm backing the Dogs to win this one by 4 points.
I'm pretty certain you've read my cheat sheet here.
Really?
It's exactly what I've got as well, because I smell an upset with the Dogs winning by 4. But it's
all I'm going to say is
the head bet.
There's a reason why the bookies love us, right?
Yes.
They keep taking money from us all the time because we get
it. Yeah, exactly. Look, Saifidi and Frizzell being out for the Knights is big. And Palmer just hasn't been that great since he's come back from his injury. So, well, I hope he keeps it up for another week and the week after, because that is a big game. Titans Knights the week after. So that will be a cracker. What do we got here now? Last game Saturday, Eels and Cowboys. And it's a stinkfest.
Well, but it's a game that the Eels need to get some belief back in their year, right? So they don't just have to win it in a close one. They have to win it by lead it early, dominate through the game, and win by 20 points, right? For them to see it as a successful one. Yeah, we're back. Yeah, we're building. And I think that's what will happen, right? So I'm going to back the Eels to win it, not by 20 points. I'm going to back the Eels to win it by 16.
Okay. I got Eels by 8, and you're right. Eels have to win this because their last 2 games against Storm and Bunnies. So this is their only chance for a win before the finals. And Eels are missing Madison with that shoulder charge. So I don't know. Cowboys just don't have much to offer at the moment. So
correct.
It's got to be the Eels. Speaking of not what to offer, Dragons and Roosters.
Yeah, well, game from Toowoomba. Hello to the family back in Toowoomba. Should be a cracker of a game, I think it's fun. So, Dragons, missing a few. I think if McCulloch was playing and with Radley out, I would have said the Dragons will win this one, right? But unfortunately, McCulloch's not out. But what the Dragons do have is they do have an international hooker to come in his spot in Josh Maguire. I'm sure he played number 9 for Fiji at some point in the past. And I do sniff an upset here, right? So you won't be surprised, right? Because, I've sniffed that upset even against Melbourne. But I do think, Dragons playing a few more kids. Dufty's back this week. Amone, I really like him. I like that he's going to get a full game in 6. I'm disappointed that they didn't play Sullivan in 7 and they're playing Corey Norman. But you know what I mean? The team, they've got to get some belief back in that team. So I am going to back the Dragons to win this one, right? And the Dragons will win this one by 2 points.
Best of luck, my friend. Chilks getting the enforcer back, JWH, I think will make a huge difference for them. And you're right, with absolutely no hooker for your team, it's going to make it really difficult. I got the Roosters by 12, and I think that's being generous. And then we go into the last game of the round, Broncos and Warriors. Another interesting one for the late run for the Warriors to make the 8.
Yep, late run for the Warriors. The MILF is back in Brisbane. We all love a MILF. Again, hey, I've got another upset here. I'm backing the Broncos to win this one as well, right? So I'm just going anti the anti the card this week, right? So I think the Broncos will win this one, right? In a tight one by 4 points.
Yep.
They've been a bit unlucky the last few weeks.
And to be honest, they've been playing a lot better the last few weeks. And I'm with you. I think this will be a close one. I just think the Warriors will want this more. And I can't believe the only big news out of both sides is that Tyson Gamble's out for the Broncos. Unbelievable that he even makes it on the card. I've got the Warriors by 6 just purely because I think they're going to want it more. And the Broncos, they've just been too heartbroken and they've forgotten how to win as well. So good luck, Kevy. All right then, buddy. Well, that's a wrap for this week. And yeah, we'll talk to you again next week after round 23 is one and done.
Fantastic. All right. Enjoy the footy. Go the Dragons.